Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Holistic Back Health series. Today I'm going to show you a very common cause of back pain that a lot of people have never heard of. An important cause of back pain is when the rib cage is not positioned well enough, meaning the rib cage is pushed forward too much, which contributes to a greater arch in the back. So when we think of an arch in the back, usually we only think of the pelvis being too much tilted anteriorly, but actually also the rib cage is contributing to it very much. So a slight anterior tilt in the pelvis is actually fine, but as long as you don't have a rib cage that's pushed forward too much, then you would have a too great arch. So what we want to look at now is we want to look at the rib cage and the positioning of the rib cage so that it doesn't contribute to a great arch in your back anymore. Because when you are trying to sit upright, for example, and you push the rib cage out too much, that creates a greater arch in your back. Or when you're standing upright and try to stand tall, you also have a greater arch in your back because of your rib cage. Or when you're sleeping on your belly and you have a big pillow underneath your head, and that also leads to you having to lean back a little bit, which also comes from the rib cage being pushed forward too much. Or last but not least, when you do any type of movements where you have your hands above your head, if you do some overhead lifting stuff and you don't have enough mobility here, at this point you will usually see that that you then have to push the rib cage forward in order to compensate for that lack of mobility here. And that leads to the greater arch, and that puts too much compression on your back. And also what happens is that all the small muscles on the back side of your rib cage that are between the little ribs here, they get very tensed, and that can lead to a lot of tension in your back, as well as also your breathing not working well enough, because you want to have the rib cage positioned right above the pelvis so that your diaphragm, the most important muscle for breathing, is working well enough. It can't work well if it's not in a good position when you have a too great arch in your back. So we now want to do 3 exercises that help you to loosen up this area here, to give your rib cage the opportunity to get into a better position in the first place. And then we will work on your shoulder mobility so you don't have to compensate that much anymore. And last but not least, we do a little strengthening of your whole abs, so that also in your everyday life you're able to get rid of this rib flare here in the long run. All right, so let's start by getting on all 4. And what you now do is you try to round your spine. So push your hands into the floor, which rounds your upper back. Have your chin on your chest. And now you try to breathe into that area, trying to expand it when breathing in as much as possible. And then when you breathe out through your mouth, you try to keep that expanded, rounded back. And then breathe in again. Try to expand it even more. Breathe out, keep the expansion. Really try to get as round as possible. And feel that your whole backside of your rib cage is getting stretched. After 3 breaths, you move down a little bit, so move your hips back a little bit, and now you round a little bit lower in your back. Again, breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. After 3 breaths, you move down even further And you feel that the area that gets stretched most and where the breath is going into is getting more down towards your buttocks. Again, 3 breaths. All right, and then you try to come up again, a little higher. Stop here again, round your back. And again, try to breathe into that area. Really loosen up the muscles there. And then come all the way up again. Push into the floor, round your upper back. And then again, try to breathe into the area between your shoulder blades. All right. Try to do that 2 or 3 times with a little break in between. And now we want to work on the shoulder mobility. For that, you lie on your back. Have your fingers pushed into the floor while your elbows are pointing up. And now what you do is when you breathe in, you try to expand your whole rib cage, and then when you breathe out, you move your hands, your fingers up. You slide them up. So try to slide them up as far as possible until you feel you can't go any further. Then you stay here, take 1 deep breath, and then you come back again. Breathe in through your nose and then out. Blow the air out, and when you blow the air out, you try to lower your rib cage even further into the ground. And then bring your hands all the way up as far as you can. If you just here, that's fine. Every time you do it, you try to go a little further. Right? And really keep your fingers, all of your fingers, touching the floor. So you don't want to open up your hands. Try to keep them in this externally rotated position of your shoulders. Breathe in, breathe out, try to go a little further, really elongate here, feel your lats are really getting stretched, and then come back again, breathe in and breathe out again. Blow the air out as much as possible, and really get long here. Do 10 repetitions of this one. Again, also 2 or 3 times in total. And then you get your stick. So you need a broomstick or whatever you have. You lay on your back and you have 1 leg pulled towards you, and you try to arch your back a little bit. So you want to be able to put your hands underneath your lower back so that there's a little bit of space. And now you have your toes up, pulled towards your knee, and your heel is pushed into the ground, pulling the heel towards you so that you feel that your hamstrings are getting engaged a little bit. So arch back, heel pulled towards your hips, and now you position the stick behind your back with your elbows up. Look up, and now you try to get up as high as you can, but at least to the point where your shoulder blades are not touching the floor anymore. And in that position, you try to breathe slowly, hold for 5 seconds, and then come down again and up again. Make sure you really look up and not bend your head too much. And you can push with your hands. You push the stick up with your hands while at the same time pushing your head back slowly, trying to elongate your neck a little bit in that position. So not bending it, but try to elongate it actually. And then try to stay up. Continue breathing. And come down again. Always making sure you keep that little arch in your back. And you will feel that your abs are really getting tense up in that position. Again, hold for 5 seconds and then relax and come down again. Of course, switching sides to do the other side again. 5 seconds hold, 3 times, and 2 to 3 times in total. That will really get your muscles engaged that you need in order to keep your rib cage positioned well enough. So those are the 3 exercises. Do them as often as you can, and you will see that your mobility in your shoulder gets better. Your abs are really getting engaged, and the muscles on the back side, if they get relieved, that really loosens up your whole back. Also, your lower back doesn't ache that much anymore. So I hope you liked this video, and if you want to continue watching this series, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you also click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any further videos. And if you leave me a comment, I'm very happy to answer any questions that you have. See you in the next episode. Till then, bye bye.